team. If anyone's outside, just make your way on in if you can, when you can. Hey, I'll just kick it off, team. Not very good at this side of things, but I'll do my best to make everyone else look pretty good after me. So, hey, look, obviously, just want to say, all the work we've done behind the scenes and everything to make this happen, it's nothing without you guys. So, it's pretty humbling to obviously see the turnout here today, and it's pretty amazing to obviously capture, get in front of you people, and then obviously from the other side of things, you guys are the ones that are investing in this as much as what we are. So I want to say a massive thanks for everyone that's here today. Obviously we've got a bit of a jam-packed sort of morning for you. I've got a few notes here, so I'll try and make my way through those. Obviously today's sort of focus is around the word resilience, and I suppose it's even one of those things like, what is resilience? Resilience is obviously means something different for everyone, but the main concept is just the ability to bounce back and stand back up when you're knocked back down. So I feel like resilience is not something that we're taught. Like it's mum and dad doesn't teach us. They don't teach resilience. It's not something you can really be taught. It's something you've got to experience. So if we can give any sort of insight or any sort of tools that you can take away from this today, and put that into action around how to bounce back and the better ways to do things moving forward. So then we'll be happy with anything you can take away from today. So obviously we've got Lance, Burdett back with us today. Luke and I watched Lance speak about only 6 or 7 years ago, and I'm still putting things into action in everyday life that I do now of things that I took away from his chat about 6 or 7 years ago. So there's definitely lots that he'll be touching on today that you can take away and put into action moving on from this as well. So looking forward to hearing what he's got to say. We've got Zach and Jacob from the Burdett Movement Trust. Nick's going to introduce the fellas shortly, so up to lunch, so I'll let him touch on that. And we've got Sammy Ringdahl, local Kaiapoi boy. He's going to touch base on some stuff that he can offer and help and assist as well. So I've got a big list of people to thank around making today happen. So I'll make my way through that. Obviously, the Waimakariri District Council is a big one. We sat down with the Waimakariri Council a couple of years ago now, and they come to us with a bit of a brainstorm idea around how to connect with people and get people talking around the stigma around mental health and how we can assist and just get people around in circles. And I know they've been a massive part of making this happen. Obviously, bringing Lance down and a few bits and bobs. So and a turnout like this just makes it all worth it. So thanks a huge amount to the Waimakariri District Council. We've got Gary from Bunnings and the team, and Mark from AEG. These blokes, every time the Wags need something, they're the first to put their hand up and assist where they can. So they've obviously got barbecue trailers down here today and been a massive part of that. So thanks to the team for that. New World and Kaiapoi. Gareth and the team have just recently taken over the Kaiapoi New World. So basically all the food that's here today, they've donated off their own back. So get down and support Gareth and the team at New World and Kaiapoi. I know I will be moving forward. Brian and the team from Momac. Again, good bugger is doing it on his own back here today to try and video it and share it around following this to get to the people that can't make it here today. So thanks to Ryan and his team. Big massive thanks to the Northern Bulldogs for letting us obviously use the club rooms today. It turns out it was a pretty good move and not doing it outside this morning with some snow. So big thanks to them. Want to just on the other food side of things, the Satisfied Food Rescue got us some bacon and stuff as well, so big massive thanks to them. One other one, I just want to make a bit of a selfless thanks to Waghorn Builders. a fair bit of time that Luke and I have had to spend in the background. So thanks to obviously the team for letting us, deal with the mental health subject pretty close to heart for us, and it's just obviously anything that we can do to share that journey and get in front of as many people as we can to start talking about it, make sure it's all right to not be all right. So thanks to them, but like I started off with, team, the biggest thanks has come down to you guys, because it's nothing without you guys turning up. So massive thanks, and pat on the back for you guys for that. Today I want to keep it pretty low key. It's not, in regards to formality, you want to try and keep it pretty informal. So to be obviously, Lance will start his bits and bobs. He'll probably take the floor for about 45 minutes, going on 3 hours. But it's one of those things. We'll try and get engaged as well, guys. So listen. There'll be questions and answers at the end of each chat. So get involved. It's a two-way street. So it's what it's all about. So looking forward to it anyway, team. There is a box at the back by Hayden. There's the one at council. One part that if we can try and offer some feedback for them. There's a couple $100 meal vouchers or something along those lines. If you just chuck your name and your number on a card, put it in the box down the back, going to draw to win a couple of those vouchers. So any feedback on today is obviously always appreciated. It's something we'll definitely be doing again anyway, guys. So any feedback that we can take from this and move forward, then we'll take it on board. I think I've rabbled on enough anyway, team, so I'll bring Lance on in, and then can actually talk properly. But just want to say a massive thanks again, team, for everyone that's made this happen. One other thanks I didn't get to say was obviously Maxie from Broadhurst Builders. He's obviously, again, he's always worked in with Wags and the council as well, just in regards to mental health. It's something that's close to him as well. So, I just want to say thanks to everyone again. Enjoy the morning, and we'll go from there.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Max Broadhurst. For those of you who do, I'm really fucking sorry about that. First of all, I'd like to start off by everyone giving Luke and Jake and Waghorn Builders a big round of applause. So mental health is something that is very close to myself personally. I used to say that when I was younger, I was just all fucked up on drugs, and now I'm just all fucked up. So that leads me into a lot of you guys are tradies here, right? So a big thing for us, you come out of school, you go into a trade. A big thing is you get on the beers, smoke a bit of hooter to solve your problems, eh? Yeah? Nah? Yeah. So I fell into a trap of not being taught how to deal with my emotions properly. Using drugs and alcohol for a good 15 years to numb that out. What that does is destroys your mental health from the inside out, and it also hurts those that love you as well. And those around you, you end up somewhat emotionless. The good news about that is you can turn that around. And it's not just the drugs and alcohol I'm talking about, it's also your poor mental health. There's a lot of things that you can do, like the breathing exercise that Lance just took us through, for example. There's other stuff that the speakers after me, especially Sammy from Better Than Before, he's got a lot of tips for you guys that can help with your mental health and keeping sharp. For a lot of you guys, you might not be having issues as such, but just to keep that next level up, eh? So a lot of this stuff is very valuable, and once again I'd like to thank Luke and Jake for organising this whole thing. It's truly an awesome morning, and it's an awesome turnout. So speaking after me, we've got Zach Guildford. I'm hoping he's going to tell a couple of rarotonga stories. No, sorry, so Zach, sorry bro. Zach's a good man, so obviously most of us make fuck ups in our life. Zach's have been highly publicised because he's an ex-All Black. So it's a real credit to Zach, the man that he is today, and he's living proof that you can turn things around. Yeah, so I will bring Zach and Jake up to the stage to have a chat. Jacob Skilling from the Broken Movement Trust is going to start, followed by Zach, so thank you guys.
Kia ora koutou whare, nā mihi kia koutou, nā whanau an wainui, Burdett te waka, rangi te tangata, kua te awa, kua rangi kui te noa, ko Ngāti Rau te whare te kui, Ngāti Ngāti kui, ko reila tēnā tātou, tēnā tātou tātou. Kia ora, so my name is Jacob with the Broken Movement Trust, and first and foremost I'd like to acknowledge Waghorn builders for creating this event. I think it's much needed. We need more of it in our society today because of how big depression truly is. And not many of us actually like to think about how big it is because no one wants to talk about it or feel that shit is going on internally. We don't know about our emotions. But we've got to get used to knowing about our emotions. Then I want to thank Lance, amazing speaker. Learned something new every day, something about blue cheese and LSD. Tell you what, we're going to the shop after this. Try it out. I've been clean for almost 2.5 years, so why not break the sock? But the reality is, I spoke very wisely about a number of things that heftily relate to me and no doubt resonate with a number of you. So I'm not going to talk too much about myself because I hate hearing about myself and I don't really know about myself. I want to talk more about what's going on and what we have to offer. But I will talk about the reason why I got into mental health and why I do what I do and why we've created a charitable trust to help benefit our community, not just in Canterbury, but New Zealand wide. And the reason is I suffered from depression quite severely from a very, very young age, to the point that 5, 6, 7 suicidal thoughts ran through my mind, probably because of where I was raised, what I've witnessed, what I've been a part of. Tracking back further, fell into addiction, into crime, into criminal behaviour, into gang affiliations, associates raised around that stuff. My father was a road knight, so I was raised around that quite hefty. I was born in Cargill, moved to Nelson, got into trouble, ended up in jail at a young age. Is that better? Yes. You want to laugh at? Obviously not. So yeah, anyway, tracking, fast forwarding, at the age of 18, I ended up in a bit of a fight in town, which was a bit of a vindictive thing. We seen a guy that had jumped us up when we were about 15, we recognised him, and me and my associates then had a fight with him and his friends, and then it got a bit out of hand, ended up in the hospital. And fast forwarding, me and 3 of my associates ended up getting locked up for GBH 2009. And unfortunately, these are the consequences of our actions. Obviously, we done what we did, we committed the crime, we do the time. But this is really, it gets really hefty. My best friend, Zachariah Boating, hits the Tangahau. During our time of incarceration, now this is the real reason why I've got into this, not because of my own attempts at suicide, not because of my own depression. It has been a big part of it, and my family. It's been massive, but Zach was someone that I loved dearly. You know, you get a best mate that comes around in your life, and that's your mate forever. No matter what happens, you can have
You're going to have to yell, brother.
I've been set up. So, Zach was my best mate, and the reality behind that is, once in a lifetime you get a friend that you can never be torn apart from, or that you can never ever see yourself living without. That friend's not like a cousin, he's not like a brother, he's like a twin brother, he's a part of you, you know, and many of you will have a friend like that. Someone that you can go to, that you can talk to, that you love dearly, that you class as family. And you can never turn your back on. You can have a fight with each other, you can abuse each other, you can do whatever you want to each other, but you'll always come back to that friend. And that's who Zach was to me. Zach was that friend to me. And then 2010, while we were on remand, awaiting trial, it was the 8th of August, just before midnight. I get all this banging on the cells, and I get everyone calling out to me. Everyone's like, Snake, because it was my name there. And I was like, fuck, what's going on?
Kia ora koutou. Hello?
Hey.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, so all the banging on the cell doors, and I remember one guy, Frank, calling out to me clearly, and he was like, Snake, and I was like, what's up, bro? And he's like, Zach's killed himself. And you know, you ever forget trauma like that because you think in your head that this ain't happening. That your best friend, who's your brother, has just killed himself and he is hanging a cell above you, and you've got no way to save him because you're locked in a cell because of something that you done when you were out on the piss and taking drugs and trying to be someone who I wasn't, trying to be someone, trying to be a pretender essentially. And because of the consequence of my actions and his actions at that time, leading us to imprisonment, I'll never see him again until the afterlife. And I'll never forget smashing up the cell, and then the prison screws, officers, we used to call them screws, refused to let me out, and then they did. And they had a legal obligation not to, but allowed me to, and I sat down at the bottom of the stairs. And still to this day, you know, I never forgive myself for not going up there. Because I remember seeing my best mate wrapped up in a prison blanket on top of a landing, and I'll never get to look into those eyes again. And he was saying my final goodbyes, will know the reason why. And that's the reason why I'm in this, and his name will forever live on through my son, who's named after him, through my other best mate, Mr. Guildford, same name. Surprisingly, he's out the gate, but yeah, that's good. But the reason we formulated the trust is because it's a collective of broken individuals who are broken and are in the process of healing, or have been broken and have healed, to come together to conform and join forces to create much needed change in our society, to show people that it's okay to speak. It's not weak to speak. Give voice to the voiceless, give hope to the hopeless. No matter where you come from, who you are, what you've done, there is help out there, but it's up to you to make that decision to ask for help, because no one can force you to get that help. No one can tell you to get that help. You have to make that initial step. And I say to you today, my friends, don't be scared to make that step. You know, there's many times where I don't want to speak or talk about my emotions, my feelings. I feel like a Bundy. People are like, oh, he's a Bundy, that whatever, people will judge you. But the reality is your mental health is foremost above what people think about you. You need to have self-worth and self-love and stand up for who you are, become it, and what you're going through, and share that with someone, share that with your friend, share it with a stranger. Sometimes just, you know, talking to a complete stranger helps. You know, we've got multitudes of pages, even though it's about Facebook, but you know, we've got multitudes of pages, support pages there that house thousands of people, hundreds of thousands, millions even, and we message people on the daily because they feel comfortable talking to a stranger. And the thing that a lot of grassroots people talk about is QBE, which is qualified by experience. Every person in this room has some form of qualification by their experience and what they've gone through, or what they know someone else has gone through, so they can heavily relate. And that relatability will resonate with someone that you talk to, and then like open their hearts to be able to open those floodgates and let those tears flow. Don't be ashamed to cry. Nothing wrong with crying. Love when we cry. I go to church, cry every Sunday. What's wrong with you? So I'm happy. Why? Because I'm crying. Because it feels good. It's actually proven it's a natural release of toxins built up in your body that come through your tear ducts and go and leave you, and you feel good. Don't be ashamed to cry. Crying's better than dying. Now, I know there's a lot of men here, you're not going to like this, but I want you all to stand up if that's right. Or not, I mean.
Just me.
Yeah, just me. Zach, can you sit down? Now, I just want you to turn to the person next to you, and whether you like it or not, I really want you just to give them a hug. No, I mean, you just sit back down. So, do you know what just happened there? I just had the power to make about 200 people hug each other right. How good? Who would have thought? But seriously, how many people found that uncomfortable in that moment? Let's be honest. That's good, you're all good then. Right, start from this sexuality, good to hear. Honestly guys, the biggest tool that we have in ourselves is just knowing that we alone can do it. Alone we must not. But to me that speaks about we have to make that first initial step to be able to receive the help that's there, because the help's there guys, it really is. You know, you've got your Waghorn boys, you've got a legend. These twin brothers are insane. They're amazing what they've put together, what they've done. Max Broadhurst, Sam Ringdahl, Jaden, Zach. There's a lot of good support people out there. And you've always got people around you, so talk, man, just talk. We're losing too many good men and women and children especially to this disease, to this destruction. And where the light shines, the darkness cannot exist, and each and every single one of you have a light in you because you have a life force in you. Whether you're a believer of faith or not, I am a believer of God. That's what changed me. Faith is what changed me. You can have faith in whatever, but my faith in Him has changed me. And I know that you can do it. All things are possible. All things are possible. So I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for listening to me hear me speak. I don't want to listen to me speak, so I don't blame this. But it's been awesome, and I just want to welcome my operations manager for the Broken Movement Trust. A great welcome for Zachary Guildford, who's a sensational individual who's come very far in such short time, but he's a legend of a man, and he speaks some wisdom and some wise words that will be awesome to you. And I'll just finish it up on halts. It's a mindful exercise that when you're struggling with depression or anger or anything, halts is hungry, angry, lonely, tired, stressed. If you acknowledge those things and you deal with those things, you'll feel better within yourself. That's a talk for your kiti. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Do I need to use this, or can you hear me? Or better like that? Yeah. Ko Tararoa tuku maunga, ko Rōpahanga tuku awa, ko Takitimi tuku waka, ko Papua tuku marae, ko Ngāti Kanu rawa, ko Ngāi Tahu o Kuiwi, ko Zach Guildford at home. So today I'm just going to share a bit about my story. I'm not going to get into the brain, the knowledge like that, because I'm still trying to piece mine together again after, I guess, years of addiction, trying to figure out who I am whilst trying to play professional rugby for the so-called best team in the world, the All Blacks. So I grew up in the Wairarapa, had quite a normal upbringing, had one brother, well still have one brother, and mum and dad, and we had a normal life. I grew up following my dad everywhere, wanted to be a rugby player. He played rugby, drank piss, and watched the races. So as a kid, that's what I loved to do. Before I wanted to be a rugby player, I wanted to be a jockey. But then I got too heavy, too big for that pretty quickly, so I decided to put my thoughts and talents towards rugby. And I love rugby. I did everything. Later in my life, got diagnosed with ADHD, and I was never the best rugby player going around. My brother was way better. He could kick off both feet, pass off both hands, and step off both, do everything. And I was unco, but I love rugby, so I watched it, I lived it, I breathed it, and that's where I put all my efforts. And then going into my teenage years, we moved to Napier, went to Napier Boys High School, same high school as Jesse Ryder. Jeez, we got some mischief together. I won't throw those stories around just yet, or all the Rarotonga one mentioned. But I learned a lot at that school, and I adopted the attitude of go hard or go home. So I didn't have any balance growing up. I got into drinking at 13, 14, and I trained like a fucking madman because I wanted to be an All Black and the best rugby player I could be, and I knew if I didn't have the natural ability to do so. But then I also picked up things in the background, drinking, smoked a little bit of dope at a young age, but got rid of that pretty quickly because my desire to be an All Black or to be the best rugby player I could be was so high. So I made my way through the age grades, New Zealand schools, under 17s, 20s, 19s, all that sort of stuff. Got signed at school at the age of 17 for 20 grand. I was like, "Chair, that's heaps." I could never get a pie. I was 20 cents, guys. It was 20 cents. So to be on 20k straight out of school, I was like, man, straight to the tab, straight to the pub, shouting the boys, and that went pretty quickly. But because I trained hard and I had that 0 to 0 or nothing attitude, I soon earned more money through rugby pretty quickly. So my first year of NPC, I played for Hawke's Bay, and I was on 20, 30, 40 grand because I played so well the first year. I got put up to 40 and 60, and then made the Hurricanes. So from trying to scab $2.50 for a pipe at touch shop by the age of 18, I was on over 100 grand. And I didn't know what to do with it, apart from what I'd learned through my teenage years. And
yeah, life was going pretty good. You know, I could chat with the boys, get on the piss, play rugby to the highest of my ability. And then when I was 20, I lost my dad in the stands after 2009 Under-20 World Cup. So we're lining up to get our medals. I got a couple of tries, thought it was pretty cool, and was looking forward to get on the piss with the boys and enjoying that night together. And then looked up in the stand and see my mum crying. I was like, shit, this isn't good. Yeah, so my dad passed away after that match in 2009, and I made a promise to him that I would be an All Black, and I did, because I put all my efforts into it, and that's what I wanted to be, and I knew that if I tried hard enough, then I'd be an All Black. So he died in June 2020. I made the All Blacks in June 2009. I made the All Blacks in October 2009. So 3 or 4 months later, I didn't really cry when he passed away because I didn't want to think about it. Just got on the piss and then played rugby. Straight after his funeral, I was back in Hawke's Bay training pre-season, then kicking off that season. But I was also, like heavily involved, alcohol, drugs, gambling. Those are my 3 things that I would use to escape the sticky plaster that I would put on. But when that's torn away, the wound is still bubbling, pus, blood, everything. So it's a temporary plaster for me, addiction. And I use that to plaster my dad's death and at times poor form. When I was playing rugby, I do have a massive inner critic, that inner child that hurt inside the puku that I couldn't get over. So addiction, it owned me. It stripped everything I had: money, friends, relationships, and it's a fucking hard place to be because I didn't want to speak growing up. My man was sort of that type of guy that was, harden up, well, I'll give you something to fucking cry about. He was a great man though, but communication was not something that we did in our family. Sorry, I'm a bit parched. Yeah, so back to addiction. It stripped me of everything. I lost my value, I lost my worth, I lost the person I was. I became sick. I held so many secrets because I didn't want anyone to know that I was the ex-All Black with no money, broke, because of a gambling addiction, something that took me away from my reality, from that hurt inner child, from that inner critic, from that self-talk. And I hit rock bottom, believe it or not. It was after I'd taken money from my family, after all this shit had happened, assaults, Rarotonga, as Matt said. I'll tell that story later. It's not something I'm proud of, but if someone's going to learn something from it, I'm more than happy to. So yeah, strip me of everything, my worth. I was sort of just left standing naked, bearing all, and I sort of made a decision. I was like, I can either keep on carrying these secrets and hide behind the scenes, or grow a voice. And I did that, and I did a podcast with Dom Harvey 3 or 4 months ago, and it held me accountable because I've been through some tough times. When you make a decision to change, it's not instant. You've got to I've had to put in the self-work, so I still struggle, but that podcast, it held me accountable. I told everyone I was a gambler, I told everyone already knew I was a drinker and a drug addict, but I hid behind that because I didn't want anyone to know I was a gambler. Didn't want to be that poor guy, didn't want to be that guy who couldn't shout his mates anymore. So telling that story held me accountable. If I didn't tell that story, I believe I would have fallen into addiction again. And it was hard. It was hard telling that story. As I said, I didn't want anyone to know I was that broke-ass All Black. But it's given me strength to stand here today and to be able to have a voice and to be heard, and hopefully allow someone who's walked in similar shoes to me before to grow a voice and to reach out to that support. And it is about finding that support, about finding that type. Well, for me, I only have probably count close mates on one hand. I used to have fucking hundreds of them hanging around. But when shit hits the fan, you're left with your true mates, the people who are going to help you through your tough times. And yeah, and Jake and I, as crazy as we are, our heart's in a good place, our intent's in a good place. We want to help people who have walked in our shoes before, because you know how lonely it is. So yeah, I guess the moral of my story is that you can rebuild from rock bottom and to never give up, and that there are people who are out there wanting to help to fill the gaps within the system that are broken. And if Jake and I can do our part as relatable characters, as well as holding a bit of humour along the way, then that's what we're endeavouring to do. But as Jake said, we're available on social media if anyone does need a chat. Just drop into our messages. We're more than welcome to chew the fat. And yeah, life's not fucking easy, but if we chip in together and talk and connect and break the stigma, because it is us males that don't talk. We hold everything in. We go to work, pretend everything's all good. Have a beer, have a bag, and the same problems are still there. So be a good mate. If you know your bro's struggling, don't give him a fucking bag or a beer. Sit down with him, take him for a walk, take him to the gym. Do the stuff that you know is going to benefit his life. Don't be one of the bros that gives him the sticking plaster to put on the wound still bubbling. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for listening to me. I don't know if I covered it all, but appreciate Maxie, Luke, Jakey, for you boys putting this on. And yeah, it's time to crush the stigma, because we've got to start talking men, otherwise we're going to keep losing people. So yeah, I guess I'm welcome to see me from better before.
How's it going? Good. How's it going? Good. About time we heard from you. So I'm going to be referring to my notes a bit because I'm absolutely fucking shitting myself, to be honest. So yeah, I want to start this chat off right. So. So I'm sure you've all heard the saying, save the best until last. Well, today I'm claiming it's bloody gospel. Before we get started, I'd love you to turn to your left and give the person beside you a fist bump. You know your left and right. We are all struggling out there. So I just want to start off with a big thank you. So firstly, thank you for showing up for yourself. This is something that shouldn't be taken for granted. You've already shown great resilience to stand for something that's really important. A big thank you to the lads, Waghorn and Broadhurst builders, for putting this on, and also to the Waimakariri District Council and all of the amazing sponsors. If anyone told me that just 18 months ago that if you commit, if you have a crack, that I'll be in this position in Kaiapoi, the place that I grew up in, as a guest speaker, I would have said, get your hand off it, Sam. But I now know action and accountability delivers results. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. Like I said, I'm absolutely packing it, but I'm excited for the opportunity for growth. So who am I? My name's Sam Ringdahl. I'm just your average Kiwi fella. I haven't climbed Everest. I haven't broken any world records or anything extremely out of the ordinary. I grew up in Kaiapoi. I spent some time in Springs Junction. So I had the best of both worlds growing up, city, country, and now I have moved up to Auckland, been there roughly 5 years. I just want to say to my mum, thank you so much for everything and this opportunity. So my hobbies and passion, I love sport, rugby league, basketball, fighting, sports. Love meeting new people, connecting. Family, that's obviously massive for me as well. Having my son 18 months ago, that changed my life. And living life outside the comfort zone. Like I said, I'm very uncomfortable here, but it's a great opportunity to get in front of some amazing people and grow. Just a little bit about my history. So I left school at 17, Kaiapoi High, and went into the Navy. For me, that was an experience. I went from a boy to becoming a man. I know how to iron the shirt and things like that. I can imagine some of you fellas don't know how to do that. Then I got an awesome opportunity to work for Ringdahl. So it was unreal for me working for my dream brand. I went out for a hot lap with Shane Van Gisbergen, been in the car with Mad Mike, won like the sort of player of the year from the business as well. And then I moved on to Under Armour. So that for me was a great experience, but I started to figure out that opportunities are hard to come by, and generally there's a hierarchy, and always get told to stay in your lane, stick to what you know. So I just want Jaden to quickly tell a little bit about who he is as well.
Thank you. Yeah, what's up? So my name's Jaden. A little bit about me is I come from a background pretty much just being an adrenaline junkie. I was a freestyle BMX athlete. I grew up in Wellington. So I was a teenager, Newlands. I moved up to Auckland and got exposed to a lot and just pretty much fell in love with BMX. I was loved sports, martial arts, BMX, just kind of sending it. For me, doing extreme things, I found such peace in it. With having, I didn't know growing up, but I had a overactive nervous system, constantly in that fight, flight, response mode. So I had like PTSD symptoms, grew up with this crazy thing called hyperhidrosis. I remember going to the doctor, and so what hyperhidrosis is, I'd get extreme sweating, like extreme uncomfortable, and I would just not know what was going on. And so it was caused by anxiety, stress, being in a post-traumatic state. So I just fell into extreme sports, and BMX was my thing. And so I just pretty much worked in winters, travel, ride for summers. And then when I was 18, I was lucky enough to be sponsored by Ringdahl. And growing up, I never, I was just a skate park rat kid. I never thought that I could pursue this as a career or a job. So next minute, I'm getting flown around to the States, to Australia, and getting to pursue a bit of my passion. But pretty much throughout all this, undercovers, I was dealing with this stuff, self-medicating, drugs, alcohol, whatever it was to get me through. So from there, I ended up getting some extreme physical injuries too from BMX. So I had mass concussions, several breaks on my ankles, both sides, AC, just countless injuries. So from there, it was about 6 years into my career with Red Bull, it just got worse and worse. I was getting, so when I was riding, I was pretty good. I could handle stuff. I was, had something really to focus on. And then I'd have these big injuries and be unable to pretty much move for a long period of time. And I would just go down into a pretty dark rabbit hole really quickly. And it wasn't something I could just bounce off quickly, but it would go on. So it'd be in the cycle for sort of years and years. Ended up getting to the stage where I knew something had to change. We just finished this epic trip through New Zealand, a bunch of awesome riders, going down this farm jam, and I knew my mental health was like terrible, was having really dark thoughts, was just really aligned with this darkness, and I couldn't see any way to help myself through. So I actually, I'm a pretty extreme person, so I actually found this thing called Vipassana, and Vipassana, it's this 10-day retreat course thing, where you're sitting for 10 days, no speaking, no writing, you just go in and you're doing pretty much meditation for 10 days. It's enough to almost make you go insane, but it's on the other end of that, you're taught pretty much equanimity. So you're guided through, and equanimity is just not having attachments, not seeing yourself as the highs or the lows, just allowing yourself to experience it. And it was one of the toughest things I did, went pretty much dropping clean straight into it. Really tough, but super rewarding. And that's just me, I'm super extreme. I'll go in and immerse myself into that. I pretty much came out of there and was like, I've got to change my ways, I've got to create my own path. And from there I found my other passion of holistic well-being, youth mentoring, and helping others how to navigate through. So from there I went and started working at an organisation, started holistic lifestyle coaching, and started actually incorporating all these tools to help me on my journey to recover and pretty much just elevate myself so that I could deal with, those emotions, those stuff that I just so disassociated with that I couldn't face. So I just constantly fill myself with distraction so that I don't have to really face myself. And then, so from there, now I've created my own thing, which is just called Wheels and Wellbeing, and aligned with the bro better than before. And Wheels and Wellbeing, so it's just using my vessel to actually talk about this shit, talk about wellbeing, and spread the word that there's tools and practices that you can do every single day to help you on this. And I just want to mention what I remember too, something said about cortisol. I'm pretty sure when you do cold exposure, you get cortisol released. So that's like, I'll do like, anyone heard of the Iceman or Wim Hof? It's that crazy dude that does all the breathing exercises and the cold stuff. So that's pretty much one of my daily things that I'll do is just turn the shower onto cold. And the biggest thing for me is my ego, my mind is like, fuck no, don't do that. You're comfortable. This is nice and warm. But I turn the switch, stop listening. Fucking monkey mind just go off, and then all of a sudden I feel calm and I just focus on my breathing, and I feel empowered because I'm not listening to all this shit going on upstairs. I'm just listening to my body, and that's something that I've been practicing, still practice every day, is to learn to listen to the body and not the monkey mind, which just seems to leap from branch to branch. And all of a sudden I'm way over there. So it's just about having those little cues for me that bring myself back to center, back into my body, and then I feel most empowered, feel I get the best thoughts or the best choices that I make from that state.
Sweet. Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about my struggles as well. So I struggled with alcohol, drugs, addiction, without actually identifying addiction. Even if it was in the weekends, just binge drinking. I was one of those dudes. I was glorifying it, which I know and feel is actually a big problem. Overall, I feel like I was a good kid, but had been charged with CIC, common assault in the past. Definitely wasn't aligning to my values. Though life was good enough, I soon realised what it was to feel great. So I'm still not perfect now, but every day I prioritise growth and accelerate that positive momentum. We're all growing, but it's up to you whether you want to move forward quicker. I kind of felt as though I had to figure out everything on my own. Where do I start? What do I do? And although I had amazing support, friends and family, I didn't really have anyone that I saw or looked up to where I was like just absolutely blown away by their success in life. So through the struggle, I realised that changes had to be made individually, and that it was going through this. How many others would be going through something similar? So I started questioning, kind of what needed to be done. So for me, it was time to go deep and reflect. I started by looking myself in the mirror and fronting up to figure out if I was truly happy. And to be honest, that answer was no pretty quickly. So I went back to the drawing board and built out my ideal world scenario and what that looked like. Most people were questioning why, especially when I was already seen to be doing well, but that wasn't good enough for me. I had to really figure out my values and what I wanted from my life. I was 100% getting shade thrown at me, shit being spoken, but it was up to me if I was going to buy into that. So sometimes people are going to talk shit, it's just the way things happen. If you want to buy into that, that's on you. So there'll always be positive and negative reactions at the end of the day, but if you can just focus on what's in front of you, what you see in that reflection, and if you're proud of what you see, that's all that matters. Deep down, I knew that I had so much more to give and that I was only half-assing what I was actually truly capable of in life. That's how the mind works too. It's always looking for the easy way out of any situation or scenario. The last thing I wanted was to look back and say I could have done this or I should have done that. So the brand, Better Than Before brand, was born on the 16th of March. No experience, no understanding, just action. And every day it was just about putting one step in front of the other. So just because it's a great opportunity, wanted to just let you guys know the mission and the vision. So the mission is to empower mental, physical and financial growth while facilitating positive cultural change and unity. Definitely got the unity in here today and building on that culture. So the vision, you should be putting big, audacious goals out there and getting after it. So I want to impact through the brand over 1 million lives. Mentally, physically, financially, better you, better me, better culture. The why. So mental health, obesity, poverty, education, tall poppy syndrome, addiction, cost of living, inflation. I also felt that instead of moaning about what's not being done, I'd take action and do what I actually I could do individually to make a positive impact. Now I'm not saying you have to go to that extent, but you can, it's all about just checking in on your mates, that sort of thing. That makes a hell of a difference. And like I say, showing up today for yourselves and whatnot, it's a huge step forward. So for me, I just wanted to share, I guess, a few of the things that have really driven and started compounding on that positive momentum. So a big one is purpose. Why is purpose important? This is what actually gets you out of bed in the morning. And it guides you each day. So like as I get out of bed, I'll get my diary out and I'll set the intention each and every day. It's important to have that roadmap. And people probably think it's not really worth it. But when you set that intention unconsciously, you'll be taking that on board, and you'll be moving in that direction. I don't always get it right either, but I know I write that roadmap for myself every day. And it's important as well as I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for each and every single day. And it's not about just writing down, I'm grateful for it. I really try to buy into it and put things down that are really important to me as well. With purpose as well, it gives you increased optimism, resiliency and hope. You will experience joy, happiness and satisfaction more often. Purpose also gives you stability and sense of direction. It's essential for living a happy and healthy life. So how to find your purpose? Normally 2 things that hold people back is the need for stability and predictability, and that's one of the deepest human needs. Limiting beliefs, we all have them, which are the stories that we tell ourselves. I used to have the belief that I wasn't good enough, but through my qualification in NLP, I did a thing called a belief change, and it changed my life. Now I'm empowered, and every day I lean into that and don't really have that holding me back anymore. So believing we have no limits in life gives us power to find our purpose as well. You've got to search inward. Be prepared to do the work. Put your purpose before your goals. If you only focus on short-term goals, you'll never find your true passion. Focus on what you already have and develop an abundance mindset. It's like opening your mind to beauty. It's all around you. Take ownership of your life. This is how you unlock your true potential. Think about the things that bring you joy. This will uncover your purpose. Develop a vision and mission statement for your life. It's actually a really fun exercise to go through that. Have self-compassion and be patient with yourself. Delayed gratification. Things take time. Be flexible. Let go of old identities and interests that no longer serve you. You would have heard this before. The longest journey starts with just one small step. So moving on to values. What are values? Values are your moral compass in life. Each person's values are different and define who we are. These make us all unique. Why is it important to align to our values? Our lives are shaped by what values we choose. I know from experience I haven't always been aligned and was prioritising things that I felt weren't truly who I was when I reflected. Values motivate actions and serve as guiding principles. So how do you actually find your values? You write them down, or write down all the things that you think make you you. Select like the top 5 that resonate with you and put them in order from 1 to 5. And then every single decision moving forward should be at alignment with these values. Use these 5 values to guide you to make better decisions. Again, you're not always going to get it right, but if you understand what your values are and who you want to be known as and for, it makes life a lot easier as well. Environment, a lot of this is just cliche shit to be honest, but environment plays a big part in our results. They say that you're an average of the 5 closest people you associate with. serious question, is this something you are happy with, or does it actually need a change? I know for me that getting out of Christchurch into a new environment has changed my life dramatically and led to me being in a far stronger position. Now, I'm not saying that you have to move to the other end of the country, but there's different like Facebook groups, communities, all that sort of thing. Put yourself in positions like this. When you come in here, don't sit here. Go out of your way to meet somebody new. That's an opportunity that you're creating for yourself. That other person might be going through some shit. You've just literally saved a life by opening your mouth. So it's okay to cut people off. Sometimes relationships and friendships, etc. Like for me personally, I've just been through a relationship breakup, and it's been tough. But I look at that as, that served 5 years of my life. It gave me the greatest gift on earth. It gave me my son. We still get on really well. And sometimes you just got to understand, it might be your best mate. They've been there for 10 years, but you've changed as people. You don't have to sit in that space. So it's really important to, find your people. The more people you meet, the more people you get uncomfortable with, you're going to build way stronger connections on a whole nother level. If you go into any new environment engagement, take responsibility for the outcome. No matter how the other person is reacting, and this is a really powerful position to be in, because if you take responsibility on what's going on the other side, you're in the power seat. So through my personal experiences, the people that are coming into my life due to my purpose, some are making more impact in a short space of time than some of the people that have been there for many years. So don't get caught with tunnel vision when it comes to environment. Consistency. Consistency is more important than discipline, because through the consistency, that's where the discipline is created. So for me, I don't know if you guys know who Andy Frizella is. He's got a challenge called 75 Hard. It goes for 75 days. You've got to do certain tasks each day. I've attempted that, I'd say 500 times. Still haven't managed to get through it. But the one thing that it has done is I read a book every single day. I listen to an audio every single day. I accelerate that growth every single day, and they have now become habits in my life. And even though it doesn't happen every day, through that challenge, I'm training every day. I'm prioritising that growth, and now they'll become habits in my life and they're non-negotiables. Also, for me, going to the gym, reading, listening to audios, educating, every day consistently I built habits which practice every day with discipline. So too often, we won't let our family down, we won't let our friends down, but we will pull pin on what we are trying to achieve and let ourselves down. Which doesn't help the self-belief and the self-confidence. So consistency is key. You want to know how to build self-confidence? Show the fuck up for yourself. Consistency helps build that self-confidence and self-love, which is really important. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to focus on yourself and how your actions, thoughts, feelings, or emotions do or don't align with your internal standards. It's about learning why you feel how you feel and why you behave in a certain way. Self-awareness is a very powerful tool, because being aware will enable you to have more control over your emotions, which means you will be less reactive. I wanted to share this prime example with me, going back to the relationship breakdown as well. So it was probably about 6 weeks ago now. So my partner came, she dropped my son off, which was all ex-partner, dropped my son off, and then she dropped the bomb on me. And she's like, I've started, I just want to have a quiet word to you. I've started seeing somebody else. So then, what happened pretty quickly, I was like, you fucking, in my head. And then it was straight away, by educating every day, listening to audios, and audio popped into my mind straight away about not running off emotions, talking about the breath work, taking a deep breath. So I took a deep breath without her actually noticing, just in through the nose. I took a step back, and then I said to her, okay, no worries, I'm stoked that, you've found somebody else. I'm just going to need time to process that. So then I was like, what do I need to do here? I need to get out, I need to go for a walk, and I need to actually understand how I'm feeling. How's Sam feeling in his head? How's Sam feeling in his heart? What's actually going on? So then I understood what was going on, and then I was like, okay, how do I actually attack this moving forward? So mentorship is a huge thing. I leaned into somebody that had been through similar experiences, and I said, this is my game plan. This is how I think I should move forward. He gave me the feedback and he's like, mate, you're bang on. So then it was about half an hour later. I gave her a call and said, this is what my thoughts and feelings were, and then she said she respected that, and it was all hunky-dory. So instead of me running off emotions and then it turning to shit, unfortunately sometimes, being a male, the last thing I want is to get my son taken away from me. So, it was important for me to not run off emotion, because I know what's at stake. At the same time, I'm aware of that. Also, having self-awareness gives you freedom to change things about yourself, enabling you to create the life that you want. Being self-aware will manage your emotions and help you align your behaviour to your values. It's actually a rare skill, as many of us spiral into becoming emotionally driven. Developing self-awareness is important because it allows us to assess and change course when necessary. So how do we build self-awareness? You need to ask the what question instead of the why question. A powerful one for me every day is, as I mentioned, is setting the intentions each day. Meditation is also a great way to build self-awareness. It only takes roughly 10 minutes per day, or also the breath work as well. Just remember that you are not your thoughts. The app that I use is called Headspace. You can get it for free for a few months. I pay about $100 a year now, something like that, and for me it's worth every cent. Not every time you're gonna sit in that space. Sometimes your mind's still moving at 100 miles an hour. But yeah, you can notice your thoughts, what's going on up there, and it gives you 10 minutes for yourself each day. A big thing is also asking for feedback. Friends, families, your managers at work. Recognise your strengths and your weaknesses. A really good way to do this is through Don Clifton's Strength Finder. I can speak on personal experience for that. It was something that Ringdahl did as soon as you jumped on board there. And the number one strength for me was competition. It resonated with me pretty quickly because I'm a competitive bastard. You need to monitor or record yourself for a period of time. That's a really good exercise. So like for 48 hours, in the NLP world, they call it like Sherlock Holmes. So I guess you've been a bit of an investigator, is see what's going on up there, jot them down, and then it's actually building that self-awareness and understanding of what's going on in your mind too. So sweet as. So just wrapping up here. So obviously the journey is to hit 1 million or impact 1 million people. So what I'd love for you to do is, when you walk away from here today, I'd love you to take your phone out and just check in with one person. If there's 300 people here today, that's 300 people closer to the 1 million. And also I'd love you to come and jump on board, join the brand. We're going to be doing some cool shit. Yes, we want to help people, but we want to make it look epic. And that's why we've got like Jaden doing backflips on bikes and all sorts of things. It's under better than before. There's actually a 7-day challenge if you want to build some positive momentum on there. It's absolutely free. I'm sure you can show up for yourself for 7 days. So I'd love you to give it a crack, and just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, lads. Hey, I know you all probably need to go to the toilet by now, but we're just about done. So when we first met up with Luke and Jake to discuss this breakfast, we were talking about it being suicide prevention. We didn't want to call it that for the simple fact is it's not a positive thing, but the raw facts are, I can just about guarantee 99% of people in this room have been affected by suicide in one way or another. So our last speaker is just going to have a quick chat about that. Murray, could you please come up, mate? So after Murray we're done, guys, but please listen to what Murray has to say. It's very important.
The last fellow you ship yourself is, so just be patient. I'll get through this. I know Waghorn boys pretty well, their family, and they know a little bit of my journey. My name's Murray Watkins, or Muzz, or you know me. This is my wife, Kathy. 26th of May, 2021. My son took his life 16 months ago now. It's changed my life forever. Like a lot of guys, he was 29 years old. Corey had a normal life, a few trials, tribulations along the way. He was a very confident young man. He loved bush tramping, and he was a gifted musician. But there was one thing that Corey always felt, and we talked about this, something wasn't quite right in his life. And at the age of 29, my son was having incredible intellect. He looked into it, and he diagnosed himself with ADD. He'd been living with that for 29 years and was wondering what was wrong. He got it all checked out by the medical psychiatrist and everything, so it was recognised. He started taking some medications. A week into it, my son rang me and he said, "Dad, this is the best week of my life. Everything's lining up, everything's easy." He wasn't a naughty boy, he just struggled to concentrate and focus on things that had affected his life, that affected his job. On roughly August 2020, my son was in pest destruction. He was living out country. He came into town to hang out with his mates. He had a real good core group of friends. They had a party. He went to the party. It was a Friday. He was offered an LSD trip at the party. So my son was a drug user, but like a lot of us, and, honest, every now and then recreational drugs he tried. He took the LSD trip. After talking with him about it, he knew that within an hour he was in trouble. It was so powerful. It unravelled his mind. His friends pulled him in close. They hung on to him for 3 days, and he ended up in a drug-induced psychosis. He could not cope. He lied to his friends. He snuck away, and he attempted his life. He failed. We found him after a bit of time. Yes. After 3, it took a wee while, and unfortunately the system as it stood let my son down. We battled for 2 to 3 months to get him some help. We kept getting sent down the wrong avenues, everything like that. Eventually we got my son in, and he got some help. He was talking to someone. We all thought it was all good. He was telling us what we wanted to hear. But after 10 months after that LSD trip, I lost my son. And my life and my family's life will never be the same. My son slipped. We didn't know, no one knew. He was a 30-year-old man. I've got this, I've got it under control. My son could talk for hours about a lot of things, and a lot of things well, but the one thing he couldn't talk about was his feelings. And ultimately, the black dog caught up with him, and it pulled him down, and it pulled along his friend's psychosis again. And we've lost him. Everything that has happened here today is amazing. We have to change this fucking culture. We are losing too many amazing, beautiful people. My son was one of them. Everyone here is somebody's son, daughter. You are loved, you will be missed, and your life matters. Reach out, talk. A problem shared is a problem halved. Thanks for your patience, and Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you very much, mate, for sharing your story with us. And Murray's dead right, guys. This whole stigma around hardening up and fucking carrying on is bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. It's as simple as that. It's not weak to speak. You know, like this whole 80s, 90s New Zealand male fucking macho bullshit has to stop. And it's not just men that are affected by mental health, it's obviously women too. Everyone says that if you need help to reach out, it's the last thing you fucking do, isn't it? Hey? When you're battling, it's the last thing you do. So take it upon yourselves to check in on your mates. Just say, hey, how you going? As Lance said, we're all alive, just say, good, aren't we? So really, if you see a mate struggling, really check in with them. How you really go? You know, these conversations can save lives and save parents feeling like Murray and his wife. So we'd like to thank you all for coming here today. We do have some pamphlets down the back of where you can get help. But it's as simple as, if you're battling, send me a message. Send me a message. I'd rather talk to someone I don't know and hear about their trauma than read about your fucking death certificate. It's as simple as that, guys. So, Eliza, would you like to come up and just also tell us where some other avenues of help? But I just personally want to thank you all today and thank our guest speakers and the Waghorn boys. It's been an amazing turnout, so thank you very much.
And I had no intention of standing up here, so just bear with me. I only found out about this last night and decided to come along. So we're not even Waghorn or anything. So I'm a trained wife, part-time on tools at the moment, so my husband's injured, so I'm doing some work with him. But I'm also a registered counsellor. That's what I normally do in my day job. And I have a real passion for the trade and construction industry. Are most of you from the trade and construction industry? Yeah.
Majority, yeah.
Majority of tradies. Right. So how many of you have heard about mates in construction?
Mates in construction.
Mates in construction is here even better. So mates in construction is specific for the trade and construction industry. They have an 0800, they have the 0800 number that case managers. Yeah. So they've probably got some pamphlets out the back.
No, we haven't actually. So I actually seen this on Burdett Before's Instagram page. So this is actually Fly the Flag Week. Saturday is World Suicide Prevention Day. So perfect timing for an event like this. First of all, thank you very much to the ones that have got and shared their own personal stories, because this is exactly what we need and what we want to hear. Amazing, because exactly it starts on site, but then it's taken home and it comes from home and comes to site as well. So I'll say at the end, if anyone wants to come and speak to me, I've got resources in the car that I'll bring in for people. Our number is 0800 111 315 24/7, and we are out and about.
Perfect. Good job. How well did that work? So
We're coming together.
we will. There's also, you guys would have heard of 1737. It's a text, or you can call it. You'll talk to a trained counsellor. We're not all tie-dyed. You know, we're not all like, and how does that make you feel? So you know, we're real people. We've had real life experience. We've all been through shit. We all have regrets, and we've got the skills to be able to support and help you. So how many people have EAP as part of their organisations that they know that they can access EAP? EAP is being employee assisted programs. Yeah, there are a few. If your business or the organisation that you work for has 0, then there are 3 free sessions per issue. So with free counselling. If you're part of Master Builders, if any of you are part of Master Builders, they have something. Master Plumbers have Kaiapoi as well. NZIOB have EAP services as well. The best thing you can do is to find out those and what you can access when you're feeling good. Because when you feel like shit, you don't. You just shut down, you don't want to talk to anyone. So make sure that you know who they are, how to access them, so that when shit hits the fan, it's an easier road. So, So thank you, you guys are all amazing. This is an amazing turnout that shows that we need to do this more. We need to do this
And look, we'll let everyone get away back to work now. Obviously, you guys are giving up your morning, and we can't say thanks enough to that. I know there's a bottle of water sitting on every seat as well, so the toilet will be happy enough for us. So we'll let you get to the toilet break, but obviously again, just massive thanks to you guys, massive thanks to everyone that has made today happen. We can't not do this again, so keep an eye out for the next one. We're all here together. Make sure you hang around, have a chat with each other. There's further stuff to take on further past this anyway, guys. So remember, there's the box at the back just for write your name and number and a bit of feedback around what you thought about today. Go and draw to win those couple of $100 food vouchers. So again, thanks again to those speakers. You guys all spoke absolutely brilliantly. So massive thanks for that, and thanks to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks very much for coming out.